Today's episode is dedicated to every loan originator for the past 3 years who has reached out and they have said to me, Dio, I know I need to be doing realtor events. I know I need to be doing realtor lunch and learns, or I know I need to be doing virtual workshops where I teach real estate agents. But I don't know how to do it. Or worse, I don't know what to teach. Well, guess what? By tuning in today's show, I'm going to walk you through how to do it, but better yet, what to teach and how best to title it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children 18 plus, you are tuned in to the Loan Officer Podcast with me, Dustin Owen, and my main man,
JC.
John Coleman.
Dio, what's poppin'?
Check out the centerpiece. It's been a minute since John and I featured a centerpiece, but if you're tuned in on YouTube, we have the MortgageCon 2026 centerpiece.
Shout out John Motor Whitlock.
Yes, John and Joe, the whole entire crew over at Empire, and then obviously all of their sponsors. MortgageCon is not an Empire event. Empire is one of the sponsors. But this event is by far the coolest mortgage event that you could go to, and it is in Orlando, the beginning of 2026, and they just sent us the big reveal. We're going to do a big unboxing. Follow us on social at the Loan Officer Podcast, and you'll get to see John and I unbox this awesome invite, Harry Potter themed. But if you're thinking about events in 2025, I got two that you got to be at. Okay, Sales Mastery in Dallas, Texas in October. And if for whatever reason that doesn't work for you, you got to see the Fuse event brought to you by AIM, Nashville, Tennessee. Nash Vegas, here we come. Both the events are in October. We're doing both, so you can do both too. One's going to be like the second week of October. One's towards the last week of October. All of this information is found on our website, tloponline.com. In fact, before we get on to today's show, and so that we can get me to stop talking.
Impossible.
Let's take a cut or a stop or a break so that we can hear a word from today's show sponsor.
Hey, Loan Officer Podcast Nation. This is Nathan Nottingham here with MLO Force, and if you're watching this, it's because Dustin, Mark, and the whole TLOP crew went out of their way to hook you up. They said, we want our friends and our followers to get CE that actually teaches something and doesn't make you hate your life while taking it. MLO Force said, okay, done, let's go. And here we are. Here's what's in it for you if you use this training provided by TLOP. You've got your NMLS approved federal CE. You've got an option for all the state CE you need already unlocked in an unlimited package. An on-demand self-paced, no Zooms, no nonsense, no webinars, and it's delivered in a way that's engaging, story-driven, and even kind of fun. And yeah, it's a killer deal because they're great negotiators and you're part of the TLOP community. If you've ever done CE and thought, why is this so bad? Why am I waiting for a timer after reading a paragraph, and who even wrote this? Well, that's why we built something that we think is totally different. It's multiple speakers, like a podcast. It's different video styles to keep it moving and engaging. And there's some humor and some real takeaways you can actually apply in your work today. We made it the way we would want to take CE because I have to take CE. Oh, and if you need compliance certificates for your company or your manager, you'll get those too. In this approved course, you get TILA, RESPA, ECOA, AML, BSA, advertising, UDA app, fair lending. It's all approved, it's all included, and it's all done in one go. So yeah, huge shout out and a thank you to Dustin and Mark for making this happen. They didn't just talk about better CE, they brought it to you. So let's click go. Hit the link, dive into your first video, and see for yourself. CE doesn't have to suck, not with TLOP and MLO Force. Let's go knock this out.
So let's get into it. How to get more offers accepted.
All right, so can I backtrack a little bit?
Please start from the beginning.
Not the very beginning. Don't want to do that. People are already tired of us. Let's do this. Y'all have to understand that, yes, John, you said it. Getting one to many is where it's at. Whether you're doing so on a YouTube channel, you're doing so on social media, you're doing so through your newsletter, or you're hosting events like Realtor Lunch and Learns, or you can do a virtual learn, right? Like a virtual workshop, I like to call them. Y'all have to understand that the power is in the invite and the fortune's in the follow-up. So you're doing these events because it gives you a reason to do your job. What's your job? Market to real estate agents. So by hosting an event, you now gave yourself a reason to call, text, email every realtor in your market or every realtor in your database and you gave yourself a reason to post multiple times on social media about an event that you're hosting. Okay, so that's the power. The fortune's in the follow-up. So you invited all the people to the event, you hosted the event, then you follow up with everybody, not just those that attended the event. Sure, you follow up with them first. You try to take them from attending your event to getting face-to-face with you for a one-on-one meeting. But you also follow up with everybody that RSVP'd but didn't come. You follow up with everybody that didn't even RSVP. So that's why we do these events. It's all about staying top of mind. Now, if you're going to host an event, it should be at least good. And by the way, that's all it has to be. Your lunch and learn or your virtual workshop, it has to be good, not great. So if it's going to be good, what makes something good? Provide value. What provides value to real estate agents? Teaching them ways that they can either generate more leads, convert more leads into transactions, how to sell more homes, how to make more money.
And give them more than 3 drink tickets, by the way.
That's ultimately what we're trying to do. No, this isn't a happy hour. So when I teach the class, which if you're in our coaching community, we teach you granularly how to do this. Not for a podcast episode, not for free content hosted on YouTube. But if you came and coached with T-Lop's Originator Coaching, no, these are the types of things that we are teaching and giving you the resources to make sure you pull them off. I would teach you that you do it at lunch and alcohol is not included.
Fuck.
Yes. So anyhow, what was the first topic that we're going to suggest? Because this is the biggest question we get from all producers, those that are just getting started, those that are already $100 million producers, but they want to continue to stay in growth mode. They're like, I understand I need to do events, DO, and the rest of the T-Lop coaches. However, dude, I don't know what to teach. A little baffling that they don't know what to teach, but hey, that means that we are still needed in this space so that we can share our best practices. So some of the topics that I have found the most success with are, number one, John?
Getting one too many.
No, that's what this exercise is. What's the name of the
Realtor classes?
Okay.
Bro,
What's the
you
name
can't
of the
call
first
on
realtor class?
how to get more offers accepted.
How to get more offers accepted. Perfect. So we're going to start with that. How to get more offers accepted.
Yeah.
Okay. Why am I saying that? Well, obviously this class works best in a seller's market and not in a buyer's market. In a buyer's market, you're less worried about getting offers accepted. You're more worried about like moving listings, and we're going to add that to the list, and we're going to talk about a class that you can teach that's on that. But how to get more offers accepted, to me, why I like that title, it's basically saying if realtors get more offers accepted, they sell more homes, which means they make more money. If they don't get offers accepted, buyers get frustrated, and they end up renewing their lease. So we need to help them get more offers accepted. How do I help people get their offers accepted? Well, one of my first strategies is I do what's called a TBD underwrite, or we call them a platinum pre-approval. That's my way of competing against cash offers because I put my borrower through the entire underwriting process. Another way that I help get more offers accepted is I pick up the phone, I introduce myself to the listing agent, and I advocate on behalf of my borrower, and I advocate on behalf of my team and how much work we did to know that this is an ironclad pre-approval and this is a rock solid buyer, giving that seller and the listing agent the confidence they need in order to accept our offer and move forward confidently that it's going to close and close on time. Now, there's some other tactics and strategies that you can deploy, whether it's with underwriting contingencies, whether it's with appraisal contingencies, inspection contingencies. There's things that you can do in terms of like escrow deposit strategies, fast closing turnaround is also a strategy. So there's definitely things that on top of this, I'm going to teach in the class. However, for today's podcast episode, I can't go through every class and give you the entire blueprint. What's next, John? If you can read my handwriting.
How to create the inventory you desire.
So how to create the inventory you desire is a class where I basically teach realtors, FHA 203K, home style renovation, and construction lending.
Ooh, talk about those. Now we're getting spicy, Dustin.
No, but that's the problem. Like if you said, come to my class on renovation lending and construction lending, boring.
Boring as
Come
hell.
to my class where I'm going to teach you how to create the inventory you desire.
Sexy.
Okay, yeah. So what am I basically saying? Well, what's the issue buyers and sellers are currently facing? Well, sellers have homes sitting on the market, but they're not moving. Why are they not moving? Probably because they're outdated. Buyers want a certain quality home, but they can't afford new construction, but they also can't afford to move into a house and then do all of these do-it-yourself home repair projects. So what I like to teach realtors is like, look, let me show you through an FHA 203K or through Homestyle Renovation how someone can buy a house and customize the kitchen and customize the flooring and customize the landscaping and customize the master bathroom. Now they have the home of their dreams without having to drop the big bucks. Even if you're a listing agent who has a property that it needs a little TLC, I could advertise and market it a certain way that is going to attract the right buyer, because it's like, don't buy this house the way that it is today. Buy it and customize it into what you desire by using one of these particular renovation loans. And then teaching CP, or construction to permanent financing, construction lending, is basically like, all right, cool. There's nothing out there I want, but what if I went and found a lot, bought the lot, got with a home builder, and then had the home builder build me the home of my dreams? Like, you can do that and you don't need to pay cash. You can do that by getting a construction loan. So basically what we're teaching, FHA 203K, we're teaching homestyle renovation, and I'm teaching a basic construction to permanent financing loan product, but I'm baiting them in with a title that's a little bit sexier. Number 3, John, what you got for me?
Hit up my boy Eric Putt if you need a good CP lender.
Eric Putt's pretty darn good when it comes to CP lending.
Hopefully I'll get a kickback, 10, 15 bips.
I don't know if that's legal, John, unless you go back to work at Waterstone.
I've read the comments when we do these, like, realtors ask for kickbacks, and in the comments people are like, I get this all the time, so it happens all the time, so I won't get caught because everyone else is doing it.
Is that how it works?
Yes.
Okay. I wonder if that worked for, like, Bernie Madoff.
I mean, he got a couple He got a couple B's out of it.
He did. All right.
All right, number 3. Everything realtors need to know about mortgage.
So this particular class is my favorite to teach. Like, it came from if I was a realtor, knowing everything I know about the financing industry or the mortgage industry, these are the things that I should know. Okay. So it starts very basic, and the basic is understanding that we don't qualify on a credit score, right? We actually qualify more on a debt to income ratio, or if it's a VA loan, you're qualifying more on residual income. Now, you have to have a bare minimum credit score to get started. And yes, if you have a higher credit score, we can probably get you a better rate. We can probably get you better mortgage insurance. We can probably get you some exceptions on maybe an elevated debt to income ratio. But I teach the realtor how important debt to income ratio is. I teach them things like loan to value. I teach them things like we're going to base the loan to value on the lower of appraised value or purchase price. So I give them some basics. But really what I want to teach them is, what do they need to know about financing in order to do their job well? I don't need them to be a great lender. I'm a great lender. And they need to trust I'm a great lender who has all of the answers to all of their questions, and to call me anytime they need something. That's what I really want. But I want them to be on the lookout for a couple things. Like, if somebody rolls in and they're driving like a Cybertruck or a Hummer.
Poor as shit.
No, not poor, but they can't prove their income.
That's drug dealer.
Don't know that. Maybe they're self-employed, and self-employed people write off all their taxes. So now we need to look at a bank statement loan for them. Okay. But if you see someone rolling in that type of vehicle, you take a step back, you take a pause, and you get them to a lender that you trust. So when I'm teaching this, I'm throwing in some funnyisms about the driving the Hummer. Some funnyisms about if they say have a blessed day. But I'm also throwing in some things like, look, when you hear the word condo, take a step back, take a deep breath, make sure they're talking to a lender that you trust. When you hear people say they're self-employed or they own multiple businesses, it doesn't mean they're not going to qualify. It does mean that we may have to use alternative financing. Take a step back, take a deep breath, make sure they talk to a lender that they trust. Or we get this a lot in Florida. When someone says, well, I'm going to transfer down there. Awesome. A lot of us assume, well, if you're going to transfer, you're probably transferring with employment.
No, I got to find another job.
There are so many times I've talked to a police officer or a taxi driver or a school teacher in New York City. And like, yeah, I'm going to buy a primary home in Orlando. I don't own a home in New York. I'm like, awesome. Where are you going to work in Orlando? Well, I'm moving down there. Awesome. Where are you going to work? Well,
TBD,
I don't know yet.
TBD.
Well, I can't do a primary home for you. Now, realtors don't know that. Realtors just like, oh, they want to buy a house. They don't own a home. They're a school teacher. They have a good job. They make good money, whatever the case may be. And I'm like, no, I can't. I can do a second home purchase for you. Then I was like, oh, it's not a second home. I don't own a first home. I'm like, okay, I can do a vacation home. I had to change my words. I can do a vacation home for you. So in that class, those are the types of things that I'm teaching. It's the basics. It's the rules of thumb. Hey, take someone's household income, multiply it by 4. That's the maximum sales price. Take someone's gross monthly income, multiply it by 5. That's the maximum not multiply. Take the household income, divide it by 3. That's the maximum that their monthly payment should be. Like, these are certain things that I'm teaching in that particular course. What's the 4th thing on this list?
How to get more buyers off the fence.
How to get more buyers off the fence is essentially my low to no down payment loan program presentation, right? How do I get more people off the fence? Well, I make homeownership more affordable. How do I make homeownership more affordable? I teach them how to get into homes with little to no money out of their pocket. USDA, VA. We can do some of the down payment assistance programs. Maybe your state has a really good state housing authority bond loan.
Buy a manufactured home in the middle of the podunk nowhere knows.
I don't teach that yet, but in certain markets, like in the greater Raleigh, North Carolina area.
Bro, some of the mobile homes is dope as hell. Don't get it twisted.
By the way, this is interesting. Michelle and I just had this conversation over the weekend. So I grew up, one of my best memories is going to my granny's house every single Sunday. My granny lived in Pine Hills.
Shout out Pine Hills.
Which in Orlando, Florida, they call that Crime Hills. It wasn't Crime Hills to me because that's where Granny lived. And she lived in a double wide with my pop-pop, right? Like that was my grandparents. Every Sunday was spent dinner at their house. Every Christmas was breakfast at their house. I won't be the first person or the last person ever to like shit on manufactured housing because to me, I have great memories. And I think of warmth and love when I think about going to that mobile home park. But no, it's not in my presentation because I'm not a schmee when it comes to that type of financing. But there's a guy named Blake Herring who is in that market, who in the Raleigh, North Carolina market. Yeah, he knows that really well, really well. So if you want to learn about manufactured housing, find Blake Herring, look him up, tell him I said, what's up. But on the topic that I'm teaching on, which is how to get more people off the sidelines, it's all about making homeownership more affordable. So it's using seller credits to entice someone to come in and buy the home. Maybe I'm using the seller credit to buy out mortgage insurance. Maybe I'm using the seller credit just to cover all the closing costs. Maybe I'm using a seller credit for a 2-1 buy down. But it's all about me teaching them these ways. And the goal is the realtors learn this information. They use it to go market to their database, market to the neighborhoods that they're soliciting business out of, market to their circle of influence by using the knowledge that I shared with them. If they take that knowledge and do so, there's a good chance they're going to generate more leads or convert more leads, which means I'm helping them make more money. What's the, is it 4th or the last?
How to move more listings.
So we started it off with how to get more offers accepted. Right. Well, that would be in a seller's market. How to move more listings, that's the buyer's market. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, same exact thing. I'm talking to listing agents about what do we need to do to get this property under contract. Well, I'm going to teach them 2-1 buy down strategies and how to market the home utilizing 2-1 buy down. I'm going to teach them strategies to lower someone's monthly payment by using a seller credit to buy out mortgage insurance. Like, what does that do? It makes homeownership more affordable. It also attracts more people to that home. It's not about dropping the sales price by 20 grand. You drop the sales price by 20 grand, you may save $120 a month. You buy out someone's mortgage insurance, you may save $250 a month. Well, $250 a month is enough to move the needle. It's also in the same presentation, I'm going to talk about renovation lending, because how do I move more product? Well, if the home is not up to the desires of today's home buyers because it's outdated, okay, well then we need to use some kind of a renovation loan. So what you'll notice is like you're going to be able to like mix and match some of the content to make new presentations. So for those that ask, and we get asked a question at least once a month, if not once a week, about doing realtor events and not knowing how to pull them off, and more importantly, they don't know what to teach. I just gave you 5 really good ideas that I have personally executed, that I have filled rooms with 20, 30, 40 realtors. I've done hundreds of realtors on a virtual workshop, aka a Zoom, but I've put 20 or 30 people in my training room, and we provided food, no alcohol, and we sat there, we taught, but more specifically, we made sure they left knowing how to take that information and turn it into marketing collateral so they can attract more potential buyers or so that they can sell more homes. Now, We promised
No,
5.
you promised.
We
5.
promised 5. But I'm going to give you 5 more rapid fire. Just
That
rapid
makes
fire.
it 10, Dustin.
It'll be 10. Yes, John. Under promise, over deliver. That's our motto.
Don't promise, never deliver. No letdown feelings. But anyway, ask UW.
Ask an underwriter is one of my favorite ones to do because I'm not having to present. I go and get my head underwriter or my underwriting manager, make sure they have a personality. I bring them in. I ask them to prepare a 15-minute presentation on the basics of mortgage underwriting. Then we open it up to Q&A.
I love this next one. Self-defense.
Yes, self-defense. Realtors a lot of times are women. Realtors a lot of times are petite women. And they're out showing strangers homes, meeting strangers in places, and then walking through vacant homes.
White van, no windows kind of guys.
Yes. So it's always good to once or twice a year, when you need a reason to have a lunch and learn type topic, why don't you go find a local self-defense expert, bring them in, and let them teach for an hour.
Fascinating. AI basics for better marketing.
Yes. Like, look, we talked about it on this show. AI is going to change the world. You're either in or you're out. And if you're out, you might as well be way out. Like enjoy being a plebe who's sucking on the government tit, waiting for your handout, type out. So right now it's a hot topic. You teach anything that's AI, you're going to get an audience. So what I like to teach is AI from a marketing standpoint. And it's not just how to use ChatGPT as if it's Google. No, it is about how to create custom GPTs. It's about taking the next step and learning how to become a prompt master. And once you become a prompt master, how you then can code, not code like coding like, it's A++ or C++, whatever it was.
Sure, bro.
I'm not a coder, obviously.
A++.
Obviously. But it's like, how can you turn AI into your virtual marketing assistant? Eventually, how do I turn AI into my real assistant? It might not be you that can teach that. That's okay. I promise you there is someone in your local community or local market. Like, shout out to Michelle Mendez. Michelle Mendez with Arch MI. She's that girl.
She knows her shit.
She's that girl. Like, yeah, she was first to start experimenting with with AI, which means Michelle is ahead of the curve compared to everyone else, right? If you're in the Central Florida area, you bring in someone like Michelle, and she can teach real estate agents how they can better market, quicker, better quality, more efficient, utilizing AI. So that's another topic that you don't have to teach, but you can bring someone else in to teach on your behalf, and I think you'd fill a room.
All right, this is number 9 because you said it was top 5, but here's the number 9.
Well, these are the bonus ones. So I did top 5, and then I did the bonus. But go ahead.
Appraiser, because appraisers are important.
Just like you do ask an underwriter, you do ask an appraiser. You come in, you have them talk about what is currently happening in the market, how that's impacting appraisals. Like, do we have a lot of appraisals coming in low, a lot of appraisals coming in high? How are they doing their adjustments? So they come together with like a basic presentation, 20, 30 minutes max, and then it's all Q&A. And the realtors will just pepper the appraiser.
Really?
They'll get their questions answered, and they will leave feeling fulfilled. Like, yep, that was worth my time. And that's all I need. I need someone to leave my presentation saying, well, that didn't suck. Because, again, the power is in the invite and the fortunes in the follow-up. The actual event itself just has to not suck. All right, the 5th bonus,
Tell me about
top producer panel. Yeah, you just go invite 3 top producers to come to your venue, feature them, put them on a pedestal. They'll love you for it. You're stroking their ego. You have 6 basic questions ready to go for each panelist. Like, what did you do before you got into real estate? What made you want to get into real estate? You ask them what it is that they're currently doing in order to stay on top. What did they do in order to build the empire that they built? What's one thing that excites them about the future? What's one thing that worries them about the future? Like, those are the type of standard questions you can ask when you're moderating the panel. But then you leave 20 minutes for Q&A and let the audience ask questions. And again, the audience leaves being like, I'm so happy I took time out of my day to do that event. Cool. You put on the event. You invited them. It's now you that's following up with them. You're now that much closer to having a more established relationship, which means more referrals, which should lead to more closings, which means more money you can earn, more money you can save, and more money you can give to the less fortunate. He's John Coleman. I'm Dustin Owen. Our coaching program is called T-Lop's Originator Coaching. Subscribe to our YouTube channels, both of them. Sign up for the newsletter. Come see us at Fuse, the AIM event. Come see us at Sales Mastery. If you're in the credit union space, come hang out with me in Denver in September at the Acuma conference. And remember, we love 5-star reviews, and sharing is caring. Follow me on Instagram at the Loan Officer Podcast, and connect with me on LinkedIn. First name Dustin, last name Owen. That's all the time we have for you today, but we do look forward to catching you on the next episode. Peace.
Cool.